Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Hope everybody had a good weekend, had a nice Saturday off. We had our guys away Saturday, and then they had their treatments on Sunday. We'll get back at it this afternoon. Going back and looking at the film, was really excited and really pleased with the way the guys responded to the week that we laid out for them. I think that's the biggest thing when you play away on Saturday before, of what you do Sunday through Thursday to get yourself ready to go on Friday. And I thought our kids were fresh, they were fast, they were physical on Friday night, so that I thought they did a great job of executing the plan that we laid out for them from a practice standpoint, recovery standpoint, film standpoint, walkthrough. We did a couple extra walkthroughs in lieu of practice, and I think it helped our guys. I think they were really fresh, and I thought we played really fast. It was a good football team that we beat. Even on their first drive, I thought they just executed. I didn't think we had guys making mistakes. I thought they just executed at a high level. And then for us to answer that on our first drive was really big. And we talked about it on Friday night, the couple difference maker plays that came in that game. But now we got to flip the page and start conference play. And tough environment going to Provo. A lot of respect for Klieman and BYU. It's going to be a heck of an atmosphere and a great test for us.
Guess I'm going first. This game's obviously going to be played up in the mountains. Is there anything you can do to prepare these guys for elevation?
Boy, 2 weeks ago we were talking about humidity and heat, and now we're talking about being cool and elevated. What a crazy league we're in. I know that Scott Troush and our nutritionist and Mindy in athletic training have talked about some things that we're going to do with the guys, but it's probably not in that short period of time. You know, it's interesting because you look at the forecast, and I think it'll be an old lineman's dream because it's probably going to be in the 50s by kickoff. But it's something that we're aware of. We're doing some things with our guys, but it'll be another element we have to handle.
Tight ends have been a very effective touchdown weapon for you guys in the red zone this season. What do you think that is after you've looked at 3 games?
I think they're doing a great job of selling some run fakes and then getting open because we have similar actions that we're running the football out of a couple of those wheel routes that Lofton's caught, and then Swanee caught the one on a scramble rule. But I think they're doing a really good job of selling run. I think they're doing a really good job of finding windows and being big targets for Avery. And Avery's got a lot of confidence in those guys too.
When you went back and watched film, did any players kind of jump out about maybe we didn't mention after the game that had really good nights?
Boy, we mentioned a lot of guys, so you must be thinking of one. I thought Sam Hecht played really well. I thought he played one of his best games. He's one I look at there. I thought Toby played a really good game and played more snaps. Austin Romaine always plays really well, and he made some good plays as well. But collectively, we just at every position improved and got better.
Also, Keenan Garber comes back for the bonus year. Struggled a little bit at Tulane, but came back and maybe made a game-changing play. How's his perseverance been paid off?
Yeah, it was a game-changing play, and excited for Keenan to have that success. And he's an old player for us, but he's only been a corner since late in the 2022 season. So I'm so pleased that he came back. It's been a huge addition for us to get him back, as well as some of these other older guys. But that was a big time play, and he's getting more and more confident. He's always been comfortable, but he's getting more and more confident in our defense.
Play counts are down across college football. Possessions are down. Does that make anything more important because of that, such as red zone or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, we're still looking at it. We got a few more plays this week, but you're right. The value of possessions, and that's one of many factors which made us go for it on 4th and 1 that early in the game. The fact that they took 8 minutes off the clock and you couldn't give it right back to them, as well as making those red zone possessions count. And we haven't had a ton of opportunities to go for it on 4th down. We've had a couple. whether that or kicking a field goal, and the team we're going to play is going to go for it on fourth down. BYU's done a really good job. They've been really efficient on fourth down. But without a doubt, with the clock not stopping after first downs until the final 2 minutes, the game's going by a little bit quicker.
A good defensive performance. What position group did you think kind of played the best?
I don't think we had a position group that didn't play well. It'd be hard for me to say. I think the most impressive thing was the amount of guys of the backups that we consider basically starters that played really good snaps for us. So across the board at all three levels, I thought we played really well on defense.
You mentioned, you mentioned the tight ends, and we've seen a lot of 2 tight end personnel looks this year. What sort of challenges does that present to a defense when you guys can go, 2 tight ends and play with a little bit more, I guess, heavy personnel out there?
Yeah, it's really common in 2 tight ends. A lot of other schools do a decent amount. We got into some 3 tight end sets last week, which you don't see as much, and we got into those a handful of times, which the plays we ran out of those were effective. Sometimes it changes personnel. For us, it doesn't change personnel. It can change personnel, but maybe changes some of the calls you make. But 12 personnel, the 2 tight ends, and 11 personnel, the 1 tight end and 3 wideouts, are what you see the most in college football and what we do. So, from an offense and defensive standpoint, we get enough work out of both and doing against our defense, and our defense sees enough against our offense.
Looking at BYU, when you look at their stadium and you look at their city, it's a tough place to play. They win a lot of games there. What makes it so tough there?
I was there once in, I think, 2008 when I was at UNI, and I remember how loud it was. I remember how gorgeous the setting was. And I know that football is really important at BYU, and they've had great tradition of football, and they're off to a 3-0 start. So I think that as well as the fact it's a great setting, it's a night game, it's on ESPN, it's going to attract a lot of viewers and attract a lot of fans. But the fact that you've got 2 undefeated teams that are playing pretty well now, I think it's just going to be a great atmosphere for college football.
Back to defense, Arizona averaged 42 points a game. You hold them out of the end zone every possession after their first one. How impressive was that?
It was really impressive against that type of an offense and how explosive they are. And I didn't realize that they had maybe the longest winning streak in Power 4 football, or I don't know, I don't even know. But I heard that they had a long. I don't pay attention to that stuff, and then it came across. You don't do that by accident. You do that by playing really good defense and scoring a lot of points, and they'd been doing that. There's a lot of veterans on that team, which made it all more impressive what we did defensively. Limiting the run really helped us. After that first drive, we really limited their success rushing the football, which allowed us to play a lot more people in coverage or pressure the passer, which we had a hard time sacking him, but everybody has a hard time sacking him because he's such a great scrambler. But we had a lot of pressure on him, put some hits on him that made it difficult for them to sustain drives.
I was going to ask you about the the pressure on the quarterback. I think just the 1 sack, but I think got 8 hurries.
Yeah.
And it seems like the first 2 games you've also put a lot of pressure. How good have those ends been so far?
Everybody up front's doing a really good job, and we're running in a lot of guys. Yeah, Mott had the really good sack, and that was on a rush 3. Mott just beat his guy and made a big-time play, but we got a lot of hits on that quarterback because we stayed upfield in our rush lane. We had really good what we call lane integrity by not giving him the outside and making him have to retreat quite a bit to get to the edge and maybe have him throw the ball a little bit quicker or sooner than he wanted to. But that's the benefit of having so many guys that were playing there on the defensive line, both at tackle and end, and we needed all those bodies. And the other thing that we're fortunate on is we're, knock on wood, staying healthy there so we can keep guys fresh.
One other question, really quick. Big 12 named Dylan Special Teams Player of the Week. I was wondering if you might be able to comment on that.
What a great award for him, and he would tell you the same thing, great award for our punt return team, because there were some really good blocks on that punt return. And we all know that you just give Dylan a little bit of crease or some green grass, he's going to make some things happen. But I thought we blocked extremely well. That was a total team effort on that return. Great return, great job circling the coverage by Dylan, and really good job sustaining blocks.
I want to ask you a couple questions about the offense. I want to first start with Connor and the growth maybe you've seen from him in 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of made a point to be more aggressive this week, and I think we were. We also just are playing. We played a little bit better, and there's a lot to continuity up front. And even though we had some guys that had played some, we hadn't had a lot of guys that played together as much, and so that was good to see. I think Riles did some really good things with Avery and getting him on the edge and creating some issues, I think, on defense. And then throwing the ball a little bit on first down, and then being able to stay on the field on third down. That's calls, and Riles will tell you the same thing. That's protection and execution. And we executed a couple really nice times on third down and critical. We had a kind of a crossing dig route to Keegan. That was a huge play at a time. And then Avery scrambled out, and Jace did a great job of finding a hole in there, and those two have great chemistry anyway, and he caught it, made it a 40-yard gain. So, we have to be able to make some explosive plays, and we were able to do that via the run and pass.
Part of that was the offensive line. You mentioned,
Yeah.
Playing together in that. Rushed for over 200 yards. How do you feel about the consistency of the run blocking as opposed to maybe the pass blocking? How do those stand out?
We're continuing to improve. I think there's more in us. In fact, I know there's more in us with those guys up front, and we're solidly playing 7 guys with Linegang and Pastore that are really starters as well, and keeping those guys fresh. And we're able to move some guys around. We don't have to have John just replace Kilty. He can replace Carver. Liney can replace either guard spot, which is really good. So we're able to keep those guys fresh, and we know we need all those guys. And so I've been pleased with the continuity. I've been pleased with, we've been good with not having a bunch of penalties there. And that's got to continue as we go into a hostile environment with false starts and delay games. And we've really got to work the noise, and our offensive line is going to be a big part of that.
Just one more quick one, if you don't mind. Damian McIntosh and just where he's at in the progression of becoming more of an impact guy here.
Donovan, you're saying?
Yeah, did I say that wrong?
Yeah,
Donovan, I'm sorry.
Donovan McIntosh?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, he was a big factor on that punt return for a touchdown. And he's been really dominant on that role. Now, what we just got to do with Donnie Mac is get him progressing more than that being a role. He's a really good football player, and we need him to play a little bit more on defense. We need him to play a little bit more on teams. And I think when you do something, even if you're on, you're blocking a gunner on punt is a valuable role. And I think as he sees confidence in himself doing that, he's going to continue to get better on deep. I thought the kid had phenomenal coverage on the play they replayed for a long time. You can't cover a kid better than that. And they found a way to drop it in there, and the kid made a great catch. Luckily, his foot was out of bounds, but he is getting better and better.
3 games, BYU's passing game has put up some yards. Anything unique or interesting stand out
I
about
think the
that?
quarterback's a really talented guy. It'll be one of the better dual threat guys we've faced thus far. As far as, we've had guys like Tulane guy scrambled to throw. I think this guy's in obviously Arizona scrambled to throw. This guy's going to scramble, throw it, scramble, and run. And then you're going to see some design runs for him too. And so that's probably the biggest adjustment for us is, and we get that enough from our own offense with whatever quarterback that we're going against with our defense. We've got to be able to try to slow him down. It's going to be difficult because he's a terrific football player, but he can't beat us with the explosive run or the explosive pass play, and that's going to be a big challenge.
What does BYU present defensively?
I think they're physical. I think they're really sound. Defensive coordinator Jay Hill was the head coach at Weber State when I was the head coach at North Dakota State, so I've known him for a while. He's a great defensive mind. They mix it up between man and zone. They're just so disruptive, physical, and they run to the football. It's what you expect out of that type of a defense, and with Jay as well as Kalani, that those guys just play so hard and they're so physical, and they've really dominated their three opponents on defense. That's the big thing. I mean, SMU is a really good offensive football team, and they just stoned them the whole game. There was a couple of plays they gave up, but man, did they won the line of scrimmage, and that's going to be the challenge this week is can we neutralize that, and we're going to lose some battles, but can we win some more of those one-on-one battles? Because that's what it's going to come down to is the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball and who wins more one-on-one battles.
To go back to Kellis's first question about the altitude, how much does the team depth that you guys have kind of developed going to help with, no matter how you guys react to it, having the extra bodies out there to throw?
Well, it helps, but now we get controlled a little bit. At Tulane, we took everybody. At home games, we get everybody. Now we've got to make some decisions. We're playing close to 65 guys. Well, you're not playing all the quarterbacks that go. You're not playing all the specialists that go. You're not playing all the extra offensive linemen that go. It's going to be a big thing for us this week to decide who's going to get on that plane with us and what else can they do. If you're Toby and Jordan Allen, man, you got to help us on kickoff or kickoff return. If you're those tight ends, you got to help us in another phase as well. So, we've got a few guys nicked up. Nobody's ruled out right now. We do have a few guys banged up that we'll see how they progress this week. But hopefully we get all those guys healthy and ready to go. I don't see why they won't, because maybe a kid or two will be out today. But our hope is they're back by Wednesday.
How do you think the team has handled success and just kind of some of the notoriety that came after the last win?
Well, it's still early in the season, so I don't think of it as handle success. Handling expectations is harder than handling success and failure. Expectations are what got us a little bit, I think, early on. That and to what we said with Wyatt, the chemistry and getting guys playing together. You're only as good as your last snap, period. You're only as good as your last snap, and what we did yesterday pales into comparison to what we can do today. And if we think that we've arrived, we are going to go there and get throttled, absolutely throttled. So that's our job as coaches, to make sure that we stay grounded. I think we have a bunch of humble kids. I think we have a bunch of hungry guys. I think we have a bunch of guys that know that they are blue-collar dudes that have not arrived. But that's what we have to make sure of is, we've won 3 games, which is awesome, but we haven't done anything yet. And I would say it, but I don't think I can say it. True has a pretty good thing when the guys ask him, how do you think we're doing, or what have we done so far? And True's got a pretty good answer for him. So I don't even know if Avery would share that one with you.
I also wanted to ask, you got a very late kick this week. Get into Provo or wherever around there on Friday, and you got to wait all that time to play. How do you fill that time?
Well, we're figuring that out a little bit. 2 things on it. We had a long time this week to sit around too when you thought of all day Thursday and all day Friday. So in essence, it's another hour and a half more than what we did this Friday. I thought we had a really good plan for this Friday. Granted, we were at home, but we're going to kind of take that plan that we had on Friday and take it on the road to Provo. And that's the thing that I'm counting on and I'm pretty confident in, is that the leaders that we have, they'll make sure that we take that plan that we had on Friday, because, guys, Friday was as good a day as you could have had prior to 7 o'clock. And there's a lot of things that go into that. And when you have the leaders that we have, we're going to take what we did on Friday and do it in Provo on Saturday. It's just going to be a little bit later.